Hey everyone, welcome back to the wonderful world of CG. Welcome to the CG world.
This is part 6 and the final part
The video series how to texture and render a realistic asset in Maya and Substance Painter and also later in Blender. And if you are liking the work so far, please leave a comment. And if you want to support this channel, please subscribe, like and share this video. Now that's been said, let's get started. Now we just have to do some trial and error to see which looks good. So now we have a good render that is looking okay. But I thought that in the textures we should change some of the things. So first of all, the color of the fabric, so I am duplicating the layer so I can go back if I don't like it. But I think the color of the fabric was quite dark on the render, so I'm trying to give it more saturation. So after the first pass of lookdev, many times you go back to the texturing phase and change some values there, and then again export the textures and start again the rendering. So I think the scratches layer, it looked too much, so I am trying to make it a little less intense. And in these areas you also need to add some colors because these areas are deep inside. So now in these cracks you also have to paint some colors. So I am refining the areas which I think should be refined before the final renders. So when you are done with the changing in the texturing, export the textures again and reconnect them to in your render engine. So now you can see that we have the color inside of the scratches, which was not before, which we have just painted after the first pass of lookdev. Okay, so now I am duplicating the light because you can see that in the lower part of the model we don't have that much light information, so in that area it looks more darker. So now if you see, we have lots of lights, but we have to control many things. the shadow is in a different direction, so let's change the direction of the light, because the shadow which was given by the upper light, that was emphasizing the assets. So we have to put the lights in a way so that it can emphasize the asset. So we have to put lights in a way to emphasize the asset. So now it looks a little better. Okay, if you decrease the size of the light, the shadows will be harsh, and the bigger the light size is, the softer the shadow is. So you can check before after. So I'm not liking the way the light is affecting the full asset. Before that, the upper light was giving it proper definition, but it was missing lights in the lower parts of the assets. So now you can see it looks way better. Always remember to save your scenes after a while. So now I'm creating a camera. Before that I was using just a bookmark. So change the renderable camera to the perspective one shape. So now you can see that looks more cinematic, but we are missing some lights in the bottom part of the asset. So that's why I am transforming the light towards the front. So now you can see it's way better than before. Now in the bottom part also we have some lights. So you can see the before after. So now I am unhiding that light and trying to give some more lights to the scene, to the lower part of the object. Okay, now you can see that the lower part of the object, the brush object, have a good reflection, but it's actually ruining the overall asset. So you can see it is contributing to all of the assets. So in this scenario, let's go to the good old friend spotlight. So I want to emphasize only in that area. I don't want it to contribute to all of the asset. And change the penumbra angle. So now you can see that this looks quite well. Now you can see that this looks quite good because this is not contributing to all of the asset but only to the bottom part of the asset. So change the exposure a little bit. Okay, so now you can see that how much the penumbra or the spot angle of the lights contributing to the scene. So that is the hot spot of the light. So I have changed some of the values. So I have really turned down the penumbra angle and the spot angle of the asset than before. That's why it is only contributing to the lower part of the asset. So now I want to create an infinite plane. But I will create it in a different way. I am not creating with a plane, but I am using a cylinder here. I am using a cylinder so that it can cover the whole object from a little side angle too. So let's delete the unnecessary parts. Now the Maya somehow crashed unnecessary and suddenly it's right. So now let's delete the faces we don't want. Alright, and the upper faces too. Scale it so that it can cover more areas, and I think it's in a opposite direction, so we have to rotate it. So rotate it and try to cover the whole object. So now bevel the edges. By the way, we are doing it inside of Maya and Arnold, but stay tuned for the look development inside of Blender. Okay, so we are doing reverse of the faces because we need the inner geometry. Then bevel it a little more so that it can give you a very nice gradient. Now it looks good. Okay, so add a new material to the ground plane. In that case, it's a ground cylinder. I'm adding just a Lambert here so that it can't cause any specular or things like that. So now you can see that immediately it have more light, more life in the scene. But you can see that our shader balls are inside the ground plane. So let's change it a little, adjust the whole scene. So I was lacking the shadow which was generating in the ground. So take it up and take the shader balls also upward and then see how it looks. Okay, now hit the render. So go to the Lambert, make it more darker. Make it even darker. So now you can see that this whole scene is emphasizing the asset. Though that is the basic idea of look dev, so that it can showcase your object in a nice and beautiful way. So I'm using a light linking here because that was generating a lot of shadows in the ground, so I don't want that. Okay, let's go to the material, adjust the color a little bit. Now it looks good. It have a shadow, but it's subtle in the ground and it has good definitions all over the assets. So see, I am using only one material for the whole X. You can use different materials if you want for the fabric and for the blade. You have to connect all the maps once again in the newer material, but here it's working quite well. It's a PBR texturing workflow, so in many cases, most of the cases, it works well. But if you want to have some more control over your materials, you can use different materials for that. So now let's up the resolution, hit a render. So this is the render, how it looks. The overall asset looks quite good. So thank you for watching, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell so that it can ring every time I post a new video. and stay tuned for the same look development inside of Blender. We're going to use cycles, so just make sure that you are connected to the channel.